Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our sharing session of NGO and new media, campaigns and communication tips and tricks. This is organized by a small group of 6, Year 2 Bachelor of Public Relations students of Tunku Abdul Rahman University College, TAR UC. I am Macy, and I will be your MC for today. Now, we gathered here today to learn more about NGO and new media. And I definitely hope that we all gain some new insights today. We are very honored and happy to have our special guest speaker, Ms. Ninian Tian, the Campaigns and Advocacy Manager of the non-governmental organization World Vision Malaysia. And not to forget, our advisor for the sharing session, Ms. Lim Cizi. Thank you all for joining us today. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded and it is going to be streamed on Facebook Live at the page PR and New Media 2021. Be sure to hop on to Facebook and give us a like. I also urge you to turn on your cameras and have your microphones turned off to avoid any interruption, as we will be having a Q&A session at the end of the session. Now, here is how the session will go on. Firstly, we will start off with a welcome address and opening, followed by the sharing session by Ms. Ninian Tian, a 10-minute Q&A session, an appreciation and photo session, and that would be the end of the event. Now, have you ever wondered what is it like working behind the scenes on the social media of a non-governmental organization? In this sharing session of NGO and new media, campaigns and communications tips and tricks, we will soon find out more. Without any further ado, allow me to introduce our guest speaker for today, Ms. Ninian Tian. Ms. Ninian Tian serves as the Campaigns and Advocacy Manager in World Vision Malaysia, where she has been for more than 9 years. During this time, she has led successful campaigns, such as the 30-Hour Famine, one of the largest youth-led fundraising cum advocacy campaign in Malaysia. And It Takes You and I to End Violence Against Children, a campaign that aims to gather a movement of people committed to keeping children safe at home, in school, and online. Ms. Ninian is passionate in standing with the most vulnerable children and speaking up for issues such as hunger, violence, and poverty. She specifically believes that change comes first with awareness. And this is why she spends her time invested in campaigns, speaking with different stakeholders such as schools, churches, and other NGOs. And from the bottom of our hearts, we sincerely thank you for your service. And with that, let us welcome Ms. Ninian. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Macy. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for inviting us to be here. First of all, a very good afternoon to all of you who are listening in this room and also on the streaming on FB page. Also, a very good afternoon to Miss Lim, for the advisor of this sharing session. And of course, Miss Josephine as well. She just greeted me just now in the chat. Yeah. Once again, we are very happy, and I myself are very honored to be invited again to share some of the campaigns that World Vision has been running, and then through some of the campaigns that we run, how are we actually communicating the issue to the public, to create awareness so that people would be aware of the issue and people will participate in the campaigns that we are running. So thank you very much, for this opportunity that we can have together. I would say that this is a learning experience and also a learning journey for all of us, including you and I, All right, so I'm just here to give you some insight what we have done in the past. But I'm sure, all of you, PR students, you know what it means. When we talk about public relation, you talk about communications. I'm sure you already kind of like know it through what you have studied. So now it's just me coming in, as the NGO worker, who has been working in World Vision, to share my experience and also share the work that we have been doing. And in between, if you have any questions, just feel free. Like what Macy has mentioned just now, at the end of the session, we have this Q&A. So you just need to pose your question, and I will hopefully be able to answer some of the question or even all the questions by end of this session. All right. So without further ado, let me just quickly share my slide. I hope it's showing. So, all right. So if it's showing, just give me a thumbs up. So I know it's showing. Okay. So yeah. So before any of my sharing, usually, I would want the audience to understand who we are, because without understanding the organization that you are hearing or you are supporting, it's kind of like defeat the purpose of attending this sharing. So I will start off by introducing who we are. So if you could see the slide, on the screen, it says here World Vision 70 Years of Hope. So to give you a glimpse, actually last year in 2020, where the whole world are hit by the pandemic, World Vision actually celebrated our 70th anniversary. And later I will share how, World Vision responded the biggest emergency that we ever responded in our 70 years of history, which is the COVID-19, which all of us are still affected by it. Okay. So World Vision, a brief one. So this is actually our vision statement. So for World Vision, at the center of the work that we do, it's always about the child. So our vision for every child is that they can live a life that is all its fullness. And our prayer for every heart, when we talk about prayer for every heart, that means each individual in this particular journey play a very, very important part, and the will to make it so. And World Vision, we are actually an international Christian humanitarian relief, development, and also advocacy organization, where we dedicated to work with children, community, families to overcome poverty and injustice. And we serve all people regardless of religion, race, ethnicity, gender. No matter where they are, who they are, as long as there's a need, you will see World Vision be there. And as mentioned, last year we celebrated our 70th anniversary. So we actually, so this year is actually our 71st. In this past 70 years, we have been serving in close to 100 countries and helping more than 200 million lives, including children and also community. And for World Vision Malaysia, we are actually part of this international partnership where we have program in this 100 countries where we impact and also tackle the root cause of poverty. And back to Malaysia, very important, we are an international organization. For World Vision Malaysia, we actually started in 1997. So this is our 24th years in the country. We set up as a support office where we partner with the World Vision International. So some of the work that we do, which I will share later, how can we choose certain campaigns to reach out to the different audience. So we actually work with individual or corporation or even universities, college, or even church or local NGO like you guys, to reach out to more people to be aware on the issue, so that our work will be able to amplify through these people. And of course, the work ultimately, we want to actually be able to reach out to the poor, working with them and build a sustainable future. And also provide an access as simple as clean water, child protection, nutrition, education, and even livelihood. And our Vision Malaysia, we also have our own community development program, which is in Mukim, Tulit, and Tatalaan in Sabah. And this project started since 2012 and 2016 in Tulit, Sabah. So just in case if you do not know where, later you can Google, all right? It's in Mukim, Tulit, and Tatalaan. I realize a lot of Malaysia doesn't really know our own country, the demographic, the geographically area in Malaysia. So I will urge you, do some homework and understanding the landscape in Malaysia as well. And of course, again, in the project in Sabah, we are also talking about bringing sustainable change to the community. Moving on, share a little bit about the three main pillar of World Vision's work, and how through this three pillar of work, we have different campaign to ignite movement within people, and all this involve. What we're going to talk about today is about communication. It's about how you are going to communicate it out to the public so that people can actually take action to support or even be part of this movement. So the very first one is actually community transformation. All right, I'm not too sure if you see the word transformation, what does it mean to you? So for World Vision, when we talk about transformation, we actually work with community to improve the well-being of children. As I mentioned earlier on, children is always the central of the work that we do. And we actually to help children, partner with them, to overcome poverty, and through this integrated model of community development, and of course through a child sponsorship program. Later I'll share a little bit about this program and how some of the ways that we use to communicate this program. Secondly, is about advocacy. I think, Thai, you see, thank you so much for having this session, because it's another platform for people to be aware of the issue that we're going to share later. And, we're going to empower these people to be the voice of children. All right. So this is what advocacy means. That means you are actually being a voice to a voiceless, and stepping up and speaking up on behalf of these children, especially children who are living in a vulnerable state. They might not have the platform, and they might not have the opportunity to actually speak up for issue that is affecting them. So we as an adult, we can actually be an advocate to help them to speak up on issue. And the third one, as I mentioned at the start of my presentation, emergency relief. World Vision has been responding to various emergency for the past 70 years in history. When there's a conflict, when there's disaster, be it global and local, we respond effectively. We have this we have this model, first in and last out. Meaning when there's a disaster struck a country, World Vision will be there within 48 hours to do an assessment to see what is the damage that has been made by the disaster, or even sometimes it's war or conflict. And then World Vision we will have a plan, to roll out, within the next months. And of course, we continue to stay on. Sometimes to us, when an emergency struck, our memories, or our imagination, or we could only remember it for the first 3 months. But emergency took a long while, for people to rebuild and for people to recover. So World Vision continued to stay on. So that's why, when we are first enter into the disaster area, World Vision will be the last to leave. The moment this group of community able to stand on their own feet again, the moment they will be able to recover, back to their normal life. So this is what we mean about emergency relief. And just now I talked about community transformation. So now I'm going a little bit deeper into what we do, community transformation, and how, some of the campaigns that we are running, people that we engage, or what are the communication way that we are using, to make sure that people understand the cause that we are trying to advocate. So when we talk about community transformation, at the end of the day, at the end of the program, it's always about sustainability. It's not about spoon feeding. It's not just about handout. It's about sustainability. How do we help a community, especially poorest of the poor, living in the country? How do we help them to break the cycle of poverty? And when we talk about breaking cycle of poverty, it's not a single way solution or a single party that can do it. World Vision needs partner. Just like how now, I'm using this platform to share about World Vision's work. We partner with individual, we partner with corporate and different stakeholders to come together, to see the needs, and we provide for the needs. So in the community transformation, these are the 5 areas that we are focusing very much into bringing real and lasting change. We talk about clean water and sanitation, and it is so important, especially during this time of COVID-19 pandemic. We all know that we need to, keep a proper good hygiene, wash our hands frequently whenever we go out and come back, but just imagine for a place, for a community who doesn't really have access to clean water, how are they going to fend themselves from the pandemic? I give you a very simple example. happened very recently. I think Selangor, a few area has this water disruption where water are being cut off. Imagine living in the city, just a few days without water, we are struggling, because water is so essential. It's about survival as well. You need to drink water to keep yourself hydrated. And then you need to, the moment you wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, you bathe, you cook, everything is about water. But these people, without access to clean water, how are they going to live their life? This is basic necessity. So there's one area on clean water and sanitation. And then, of course, we have child protection, health and nutrition, where, we're talking about country where children living in hunger for 365 days a year. And then education, I am sure, all of you would agree or echo to me. Education is one way or another to break the cycle of poverty. When people are being educated, they have that knowledge and skill. When they grow up, they will have a better, in a sense, better opportunity in life, that they can actually earn an income to provide for the family. So that's why, in a lot of country, when they are being trapped, I use the word trapped, in poverty, parents are not being educated since young. So when they have their own children, they also believe that maybe education it's something that is not important at all. As young as 4 years old, you can just take care of your sibling at home. You don't have to go to school. You just need to help me to look after, or even go out and earn at a very young age, because the family needs you. But we all know, in this little child, when he or she grown up, it will be the same cycle that he will trap in, because without education, we might not have a knowledge, we have not have skill to actually break through that cycle of poverty. All right, so this is something that we are talking about, bringing a lasting change through education as well. Livelihood, where parents have the ability to actually provide for the family. Like now in COVID-19, Malaysia are still, I think we are moving on to phase 2. Some of the economic sector has been opened up. But just imagine, previously we also have this white flag moment in Malaysia, where people, some of them are daily earner. Without working, they won't be able to have income, and they cannot even provide food for their family on the table. And they might not know when is their next meal is going to come. So this is, when we talk about transformation, this is a real transformation that World Vision would like to bring to the community that we are serving. And then, of course, how do we actually communicate this out, so that people understand? First is actually changing one life, change many lives. When I talk about community just now, it's like you sponsor a child, but it brings changes to the entire community. So one of the communication, or one of the way that we're trying to highlight about child sponsorship, is that when you sponsor a child, it's not just the child, just not the life of the child that's changing, but it's actually the whole community. And you can see the children in the community able to live life in all its fullness. And coming back to our vision for every child when we first started World Vision in 1950, for the past 70 years. So this is a unique opportunity where it connects people together with a real child in need, and they will see, at the end of the program, how this life are being changed. Of course, in between, there were many activities that we are running, including, when you sponsor a child, you can write letter to the child. You know this child by name, you know this child by face, and of course, before pandemic, we always organize sponsor visit, where sponsor get to meet in person with this child, visiting the country, seeing the issue firsthand by themselves, and meeting their sponsored child in real life. So these are the things that when we talk about communicating, it's all about storytelling. It's about how are you going to bring that story of a child into life, so that people see and people are able to relate and connect. This is of course, when we talk about communication, there's head knowledge. There's also one part that's touching the heart. So this is an area where, in all World Vision's communications, real story is very, very important to us. A child story that we would use to bring out the issue. So for example, this one, I'm sure some of you know him. He's an international star, Wang Lihong. He has been supporting World Vision work for many, many, many years, and he came to Malaysia for the 30-hour famine campaign before, and he's still our World Vision Malaysia ambassador till today. So this campaign we actually launched it last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, it's called 还有你还有希望. The 还 is actually a child, if you know how to read Chinese. Because of you, I have hope. And this is a voice coming from a child. When you want to communicate an issue or causes, it always has to bring people back to the cause that we are advocating. So, for example, this campaign, because of you, I have hope. Meaning, when you are sponsoring me, I actually see hope in my future. So this child in this picture that you saw, it's actually Lee Hong sponsored child. He also visited him, and he's actually from Laos. So that's why in World Vision, our goal is always to see children. Again, you see the communication, bringing people back to the vision that we have to live a life that is fullness. And we work towards this program, child sponsorship program, to do that. To connecting a child in need to a sponsor. So it's a two individual. World Vision is just a bridges between these two worlds. That you see the needs, and that's on the other side, there's a need that is waiting. So that's why it's connecting. We are the bridges for this particular program, I would say. And then, of course, moving on, there are different ways of presenting when you're talking about communicating. Like I mentioned just now, storytelling is very, very important when we talk about communicating, when we talk about PR. All right. So, like this one, we'll work with also different personality. Like just now, that one. So, it's more on the influencer. Ambassador like Lee Hong, an international star. Back here in Malaysia, we also have some local influencer who are also well known in Malaysia, and their profession, they are profession in their own profession. For example, Deborah Henry, the very first one, she a founder of a refugee school in Malaysia. The second one, Owen Yap, very well-known TV host, TV announcer. And of course, this one, maybe some of you might not know her, but some teacher might know her, Jiang Aijia, she is also someone who are well-known, a director, a movie director. And, how do we communicate their story? So we actually brand it into Story of Hope. Remember, the campaign is called Because of You, I Have Hope. So we when we engage with this influencer, celebrity, or ambassador, we want them to tell their side of the story of hope. They're experiencing sponsoring a child. So from there, you will see the story is very authentic. It's not coming from World Vision. It's coming from the supporter themselves. So it's not just always about, World Vision will tell you how great is World Vision, how wonderful is the work that we are doing. No, but people who have been in this journey, they will be the one who actually share their experience and share how they see life are being impacted through a child sponsorship program. And this is I would say a lifetime change that they see in the life of a child, in the life of their sponsored child. So this child at the side is the child that they are sponsoring. And for of course, for Jiang Aijia, she visited many of World Vision's project firsthand. Yeah, so this is how, when we talk about communicating, ultimately you have to go back to a cause that you are trying to communicate and find a way to relate to the people, to the public. Okay, so for example, this one as well, this particular communication that we use, this is a Malaysian child sponsoring a child in another country. All right, so to us, when we talk about advocacy, everybody can be an advocate, no matter how young or how old you are. Just like this particular child, Caleb Yong, he's a Malaysian child. Even a child himself, by using his pocket money, he partnered with his parents to sponsor a child in Vietnam. So this is again, this quote is by Caleb. My parents say sponsoring children makes them a little happy. And I say, yeah, I can contribute my pocket money. So you see, this is again another perspective where when we talk about advocating for a child, it's not necessary just working adult, I would say sometimes. I think ultimately it go back to whether your message that actually connect and ignite this touch in your heart, that you really see a need and you want to be part of this journey. Yeah, so that's why we always say when you sponsor a child, it's always about a unique opportunity for you to connect with this child that is in need. And ultimately, when you see the entire end of the program, the community being transformed, you see that they are being lifted out from poverty and they can be self-sustaining. They too will be a blessing to many other people out there because they have kind of like benefited from it. All right. So this is how, when we talk about community transformation. So these are just some of the ways, some of the angle or focuses that we use to connect people with the issue. Okay. And now I move on to the second pillar. If you still remember, about World Vision's work, the first one, community transformation. The second is actually emergency relief. So I don't think I can lift out without touching COVID-19 in this era, because we are still, in this world that is still affecting by COVID-19, Malaysia as well. So that's why I want to touch a little bit when we talk about communicating this issue out, especially to those people who do not have access to social media. I think we are very fortunate. We are living in an era where all of you, I'm sure, you have your own social media account. It's so simple. You want to get any information, you just Google. Start Googling, hey, how do I do this? How I find this information. But that is for us, we have that knowledge. But bearing in mind, there will be a lot of people out there who do not have this skill, who do not even have access to internet. Okay, then how do we make sure that, especially people living in the rural area, poorest of the poor, okay, what do we do to make sure that the pandemic don't reach them at least? Okay, because if the pandemic reach them, it's going to be difficult for them to fend, all right, with the limited resources that they have. So yeah, so when you talk about the impact of COVID-19, all right, I'm sure he has challenged many of the humanitarian work, many of the NGO work that we have been done in the past, because community transformation is about going there, doing program face to face. But COVID-19 changed everything. COVID-19 changed everything upside down. But to World Vision, we will never stop helping, especially in the midst of pandemic. Like I mentioned just now, like if you think about yourself, all of us actually being affected, even though you as a student you might not feel it. Maybe for your part it's just that, oh, now I have to just do online sharing, I cannot meet my friend, I cannot go out yamcha, I cannot go cinema. By the way, cinema is opening also. But everybody please take care. Yeah, so for us, if you think about it, yes, all of us are affected, but it's a different level of how you're being affected. But for those poorest of the poor, the secondary impact of COVID-19 is unimaginable. Millions of people are going to be cut off from especially education. For us, yes, we can do online sharing, online study, but they don't even have a device. Their school, they have to walk miles just to attend school. So that's why I always tell people, don't take things for granted. We have to appreciate what we have, and we need to equip ourselves with the knowledge of what's happened out there. Yeah, so of course, lockdown also, it actually prevent a lot of parents to be able to continue to provide, especially in terms of livelihood. All right. So this is actually just a glimpse of how the impact of COVID-19 to the whole world. It's not just Malaysia, it's everybody. So in Malaysia, our response, effort in Malaysia is that definitely we need to really put to your face what COVID-19 has impacted us. For us, we are just looking within our circle of friends. But what about out there, the vulnerable children in Malaysia, especially sometimes, children who are undocumented and accompanied by parents, migrants, refugee, rural communities. So these are the things that we need to look into, especially in Malaysia. So we need to kind of like promote preventive measure so that, like I see, we are hoping that the virus don't reach them. because if it does, they might not have the ability or resources, to seek help or to even go to the nearest hospital or clinic to get treated. Okay, and of course, for now, it's really about handout. Food supply, especially relief assistant, talking about hygiene kit, as simple as hand sanitizer and mask. For us, yes, it's so simple that we could just go ahead and buy a mask and a hand sanitizer. But to them, sometimes, like I say, it's all about knowledge. It's all about what you know about the pandemic and how are you going to respond. All right, and so another way of to communicate this out, like I mentioned, the early stage, for the COVID-19, we do a lot of awareness, to the community, especially in the rural area. So we also, of course, Malaysia is very unique. We have three languages that is main in Malaysia: English, Mandarin, and also Bahasa. All right. So in all the communication, sometimes that we do, we also need to kind of like adapt. You need to know your audience. For example, the two community transformation that we have in Sabah, it's it's obviously the orang asli, so they can't be reading your stuff in English. They can't be understanding Mandarin. So what we need to do, we need to come up with Bahasa resources. So these are the things, for people to really understand, when pandemic hit us, what is COVID-19? How does it being affected? These are the things that to us is like we all know airborne, lah. How we can all protect ourselves. But to them, maybe they do not have the knowledge. So these are the communication, the different way of how we are doing it. So that's why it's important when we talk about communication. I'm sure all of you are PR students. Sometimes we cannot just write. We have to put into a graphic, a visual, because generally, I would say generally people, they are very visualized person. So they see a visual, they will understand. So this is also how when we talk about communication, there are so many creative ways to talk about how we bring this message across. So this is just one of the way that we are doing when we first create that awareness for on COVID-19 in Malaysia. Okay, so I move on. So yeah, so again, like I say, a real authentic story is very, very important. So this is just some of the distributing picture that we have gotten, equipment, food, and also personal supplies. So even to the nearest clinic, or I think this is clinic, clinic kesehatan in Nabawang. So these are the area that these are the item that World Vision provided during this COVID-19. So these are some of the picture, when we talk about the work that we do under COVID-19. So these are some of the picture that we can share with fellow Malaysian, to tell them today you're donating to World Vision, and we will definitely put your contribution in use in really a effective way to help the community to fend during this COVID-19. So these are some of the, in a sense, an evidence and also an accountability. When you talk about communication, we talk about donation, especially for NGO, because we are slightly different. We are not a corporate where, there is there's ROI and things like that, return of investment. For World Vision, is really about impact. How much impact we are bringing through the contribution that is donating by the public. So this is how NGO communicates to the public. Okay, so so this is just a brief overview about how our response has reached about 30,000 beneficiary overall. I think this is number for last year. This year we continue. We have just ended another round of distribution in Sabah as well. So this is just number. So again, when we talk about impact, it has to be impact that people can relate. Oh, World Vision has distributed 42,000 masks, 100 liters of hand sanitizer to the rural clinics. So these are all number, and not forgetting, behind all this number, it's individual. Behind all this number is a real person with a real name, a real child or a real community. Yeah, so this is an impact that we want to show people. By donating to World Vision, there's always transparent and there's always impact that we want to show you. And of course, the last part of the sharing, I think I'll cover a little bit about advocacy, like I mentioned just now, is about being a voice to the voiceless and how we can speak up on certain issue, bringing people together, because advocacy is about bringing people and getting people to advocate for an issue. So one of the biggest campaign which Macy mentioned in the early part of the sharing, it was the 30-hour famine. Yes, famine is a global movement. It's not just in Malaysia. Those of you have never heard about it, you can just Google. Famine started in 1971 by a girl called Ruth Roberts. And when she started famine, she was only about 16 or 17 years old, a teenager, yeah, who saw a need in utopia. People are dying from hunger. People are dying because there's no food. And to her, I cannot just sit back and do nothing. I cannot sit back and do nothing. I would decide, that I would use my own strength to gather my friend, gather my parents to support, and at the same time, I'm going hungry for 30 hours just for me to experience what it means when we talk about people living in hunger. Yeah, so that it's how an idea that came pop ups to her, and today, it has been organizing in many, many countries, and it has become a global movement. And Malaysia has run it since 1997, the start of World Vision. Yeah. And of course, this campaign, over the years, we have gathered many Malaysian, especially the young people. We even have children under the age of 12 to join us in this campaign. It's a nationwide, and it's a very successful where people really understand by joining the campaign. The second one is actually World Vision Run for Children. Okay, I go deep a little bit on this. How do we communicate through an issue, especially issue that's relating to child right, through a run? Okay, a lot of people, you can run for a charity, but this run is very unique. If you could see the poster, it's run 42 minutes for 42 child rights. Okay, before we launch this campaign, a lot of people do not know that every child has 42 child rights. So this is very important for us to be aware. If you do not know, every child has 42 rights. I hope after today you remember this. Yeah, every children that you encounter, they actually have 42 child rights. So yeah, so this is World Vision 2021 virtual run for children. So if you see that, it's 42 minutes to protect 42 child right. And another area that I want to bring to share with you is that for World Vision work, um, we always, like I say, World Vision can't do our work alone. We need partner. So if you can see this slide, we actually partner with a lot of sponsors, a lot of corporation, to get the support. So one way when we talk about, communicating the work that we do and getting supporter, to understand, is to really preach to all these corporate who are like-minded. When I say like-minded, is that, they too, want to be part of this advocacy movement. So if you see on this slide, these are the corporate or partner that we have been working with for the past 3 years in Malaysia when we talk about the run. So yeah, so in this particular campaign, one of the area that we're communicating is that under the United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child, UNCRC, every child has 42 rights. Some people will ask me, how do we define a child? Okay, so now cinema opening, right? So actually, when you buy ticket, right, as long as you are 13 years old and above, you're actually buying an adult ticket, right? Okay, for a child, the definition of a child is for anybody who are 18 and below. Okay, as long as you are 18 and below, you are classified, you are defining as a child. So if you are defined as a child, you has 42 rights. All right, so through this run, we are advocating the child rights issue. So actually in line with the campaigns in World Vision that we have, it takes you and I to end violence against children. We want to protect children from all form of violence, okay, including sexual violence, exploitation, abuse, labor, and also gender-based violence. So it's through this meaningful run. Another thing, where we need to think of campaigns to reach out to people. Run is one significant activity that can connect with a lot of people. I realize a lot of Malaysians love to run. Small run, big run, professional runner, fun run, they just love to run. But it's a good thing because you keep your lifestyle healthy. So that is why, when we launched this child right, we were thinking, how can we actually get people to understand the work of child right? Then we realized run is the good way to go about it. By joining a run, you learn the issue about child rights. All right, so you need to get connecting point with people. You make it relevant to your audience. That is how we do communication. So yes, so this is just a glimpse. Convention on the Rights of the Child. This is by the United Nations. So it's not World Vision who say, oh, every child has 42 rights. Okay, this is the international standard that we are using. All right. And yeah, and then of course, so you see that this picture, everybody holding the bead. Another uniqueness about what I mentioned just now, the work of World Vision is about community transformation through a child sponsorship program. Remember that? So every child on this particular bead, they are a real child with a real face, with a real name from a real country. So when you are running for the rights of children, at the end of the run, you can also choose to sponsor this particular child. You see how World Vision connect the dots of the work that we do? It's always coming back to the sustainability of how we want to break through the cycle of poverty, right? And at the side there, some animation. So these are the category of rights that we have kind of like concluded, when we talk about the 42 rights. So the rights to education, to childhood, to be heard, fairly treated, and also healthy. So these are the 5 categories. So when people join the run, we have a series of communication that we send out to communicate with them. So it's not just a run that you're joining, but I'm telling you the issue that's affecting children and how can each and every one of you can be a protection to these children. Okay. So yeah, so this one I think I mentioned. So the bid, so it's a very unique. You're running for a child that is on your bid. It's a real child. At the end of the day, you can actually sponsor. So by sponsoring this child on your bid, at the end of the run, you start your journey and you unlock the world of first for this child. The first to maybe to education, first experience by having access to clean water. All right. So this is how, when we talk about linking your work, you must be able to finally connect every dots together. It's a big picture, a big puzzle that you're putting it together. Okay, so yeah, so 30th, I think I mentioned just now, so I just briefly talk a little bit about this year difference between how we run it during the pandemic and before pandemic. All right, so this year, this is a slogan where because of the pandemic, everything is online, everything is virtual, including the 30th. Last year when the pandemic hit in the month of March, people all ask us, the leaders all ask us, so what World Vision is going to do with the 30th? Are you going to stop organizing? The very first one, we will tell them, no, we will not stop running the 30th. Because it's in time of COVID-19, people are even badly affected because of the COVID-19, because they're already poorest of the poor. So World Vision will never stop running any of our advocacy campaign. We will continue to drive awareness, continue to drive participation. So that's why 30th, this year, we actually turned everything into online, but we also tweak a little bit about the format. For example, people have that flexibility to fast, not just from solid food. It can be beverages, because some people, they, due to health problem, they might not be able to fast 30 hours with solid food. So we actually tweak the fasting, and then of course we do it like you can run it anytime, anywhere, offline and online. So you give more flexibility for people to participate, so you don't have a reason not to participate. All right, so it's not a reason for you not to participate. So yeah, so we also divided them into a few categories: individual, friends and family, and also community. Friends and family is within your home. You actually, run this within your family member. Community is slightly bigger. It could be an online. So the biggest I attended this year is about 120 people. Yeah, online. Everything online, but they are still managed to carry out the program, and the issue that is being highlighted is very well presented as well. Okay. Yeah, so on social media, so maybe for 30th, one of the another breakthrough for us is that definitely for 30th, what people remember is a physical gathering, a physical countdown where everybody come together, in the stadium, tens of thousands of people coming together to cheer for one another for the final countdown. But this year we can't do it. So what we do, we bring everything online again, like I say. Okay. So there's a lot of coordination that's involved in different party, including with our ambassador, with some of the local celebrity. We turn everything online. It's an online celebration, we call it this year. 1.5 hours on live streaming, Facebook, Instagram, and also all the platform that we can think of. Okay, and not just that, if you could see at the bottom here, all this partner. So again, like I say, for the work that World Vision is doing, partnership to us is very, very important. All right, especially you can see there's a lot of media partner. So on the same day during the online celebration, all these partners, media, they are live streaming on their platform simultaneously. So what do we do with that? We bring the reach to the highest level. For every single artist or media platform, they have their own follower. So when you talk about communicating, getting reach, this message out to reach to this group of people, you need to think of your partners as well. How can you form this partnership? Of course, World Vision has been partnering with them many years. They trusted our work so much and they're willing to do this. But of course, building trust takes time. Okay, so this is the 30-hour famine that has been running in the country for more than 20 years. So they are all willing to do that. And you can see on the 8th of August, which is last month, 8 p.m. 9 to 9:30, all these platforms are simultaneously doing this live together. So we are reaching more people to know the issue. And then of course, not to also forgetting, 30-hour famine is about a movement, it's about people. It's about people coming together. So when we do a thank you post, we involve all these individuals who participated in the campaign to thank them, to make sure that they are aware that this campaign is a successful because not because of World Vision, it's because of them that World Vision can run this campaign successfully. So again, it always go back to the people. It's not about who we are, about World Vision. It's not about us. It's about the people and the children that we are helping. Okay, moving on. So you have heard about our development world, our advocacy initiative. So again, for World Vision, right, all year long, right, World Vision do a lot of campaigns, do a lot of activity, because we have to just make sure that we are all out spreading awareness, bringing the issue to your face, literally telling you this is what happened. After you are aware, you study about it, then you can be part of this. So that's why we also have some activity or campaign that is a festival focus. So this is how I talk about community, which is child sponsorship, and then advocacy we have to run, and 30-hour famine, and we also have some other program that is festival focus. Okay, so for example, this is a gift of hope that we are running, where buying a simple gift as chicken, literally small chicks chickens, then you're actually donating these chicks to a community. And of course, this is a campaign that we run yearly during Christmas time. Why Christmas? Because Christmas to a lot of people is a season of giving. Okay, so again, you see, we are trying to relate a festive, or a particular day to people, so that we kind of know that in the season of Christmas is where people would love to give. So that's why again, you see, we connect the relevancy with people for all the campaigns that we do. Okay, so in this particular gift, you have for children, for parents, for schools. So there are many, many, many different gifts that we are offering here that people can just choose, because everybody, there's always a specific cause that you want to support, be it a cause that is relating to children, a cause that is relating to environment, a cause that's relating to animal. So you must be able to identify this cause. Everybody has a different cause that you want to supporting. Like for myself, I know for sure in my heart, I want the children to live a life to its fullness. So to me, everything that's related to children is going to unite a movement in my heart. So that's why everybody, when you're in this journey of advocacy, you just need to make sure that you're able to find this cause that you're able to relate, that you're passionate about, that you will continue to advocate. All right. So this is just a gift catalog where it focuses on different facets. And so through this Christmas campaign, you continue to spark hope and also spread joy. Christmas is also about bringing hope and joy and love to the community. So again, it's aligned with the entire festive that we are trying to link together. Yeah. So this is on ground, and then of course, ultimately we change it to everything online again. So this is actually the year before pandemic right? So this is the choir from World Vision. We also sing, and we actually went to some radio station to actually do this to run this choir, this hope choir. And yeah, lastly, I think I would like to just close with this with you. Um, I think from the very beginning of my sharing until now, I always talk about partnership, and when we talk about building a world, a better world, I would say, for children or even community, for even for ourselves, we cannot leave anybody out of this picture. All of us are in this journey together. There's no say that this is your problem and this is not mine, so I don't have to care about it. No, when we talk about ecosystem, we talk about a safety protection net for a child, is always 360-degree. All right, so that's why we always search for collaboration, partnership with different people to tackle, be it local or even global issue, global problem. And then secondly, for World Vision, accountability, it's one key thing that keep us going for 70 years and Malaysia for 20 over years. For every single donation that comes into World Vision, as a steward, we work to ensure that all the resources that has been entrusted to us is actually being pushed in a very most effective way or effective manner to measure. And annually, we have this report that is going through to our donor and sponsor. And this report, this account has been audited by internal and also external auditor to make sure that every ringgit that we receive, we actually put into the proper use. And our promise to all our sponsors and partner is that we will never use more than 20% of the total fund collected for all our operational expenses in all the work that we do. For example, I'm a World Vision staff. I've been working with World Vision for 9 years plus. I have my own lives. I have my own home to feed. So where do I get do I just work voluntary? No, I work full time as World Vision staff. So I have my monthly salary. Where does this money come from? It comes from all the donation from the public, from corporate, from individual. But our commitment is that for all the spending that we use annually, we will never exceed 20% from our total fundraise. So this is a commitment that we have as a steward, as a Christian organization, a promise that we make to all our supporters. All right. So this is just something that I want to share with all of you. When we talk about communicating about your organization, the work that you do, what are some of the areas that people wants to know? What are the area that people find it um, that an area that I can relate, and why I need to support this particular organization. What are the area that so interested that I look at your website, I know that this is a trustable NGO that I want to support, that I want to channel my funds to. So these are the area that how we communicate the work that we do. All right. So yeah, so this is our commitment. So this is an annual report. You go into worldvision.com.my anytime, every year you will see an updated one. Sorry, my slide is 2019, but the 2020 is already up on the website. All right. So again, it will never exceed 20%. All right. And we will make sure we have an auditor to make sure every ringgit being spent, it's in the proper measure. Okay. So yeah. So this is this second last slide. Yeah, in all the work that we do, like I say, communicating impact. The work World Vision has been doing for every 60 seconds, we are actually providing a families to water, a hungry child is fed, and a family receive tools to overcome poverty. And this is a statistics every 60 seconds. So together, we'll be able to bring hope and change the lives of community living in poverty. So in a sense, in communication, this is an elevator speech, like I say. When people look into you, look into the work, I know that every 60 seconds, World Vision is giving all these things to the community and bringing impact, that bringing people together to bring hope for the future. All right. So with that, yeah, thank you for making a world of difference for many people, especially the children in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Ninian. Now it's time for the Q&A session. If you have any question, you can turn on your microphone, or you can also put it in the chat box. Do we have any questions from the floor?
Yeah, so hi, Miss Ninian, Kai Xian here. So just now I heard about the campaign called Sponsor a Child Today is conducted online right now. So I want to ask, how does World Vision conduct the communication between the donors and the child in the sponsoring process? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kaisen, for your questions. Yes, child sponsorship program has been running for 70 years for our visions. Technically, it's in our DNA. We know the program inside out. So, coming back to how we communicate this child sponsorship updates to our sponsors. All right, there are a few ways. First of all, is actually through our website. So, our website, we will actually update very frequently on how child sponsorship program is being carried out even in the midst of pandemic. All right, because pandemic we can't have the activity face to face, but of course we have a lot of community leaders in the community itself to actually give us update and for us to also giving out information and sometimes support or the needs that we need to be aware. So through the community leader, they can feedback to our staff on the ground in that particular country. So from there we will know that how each community is doing. All right, so that is how we update our website frequently, about how we run our sponsorship program on ground even in the midst of pandemic. Secondly, is that for World Vision, annually when you are a child sponsor, you will actually get this annual progress update from your sponsored child. Okay, so last time it used to be, of course, hard copy. I just have one here. I can show you. So this is my child. She's from Thailand, but she graduated. When I say graduated, her whole community graduated and they are out of poverty now. They are sustainability. So World Vision no longer needs to be there. All right. So they can provide for themselves, they can continue their life, and they can continue to bring blessing to many other people. So annually you will receive this. All right. So now in the midst of pandemic, some country, I'll just highlight some, they are still able to send out hard copy. Okay, but if there is some country who are not able to do so, World Vision actually on our platform, we have this My World Vision portal for our World Vision supporter to actually create an account and log in to view updates about your sponsored child. So from online, annually we will update this on the portal. So sponsor just need to go in there and check the updates online. All right, so it's a portal that World Vision created for all our supporters. So that's how we, again, using technical or using digital platform to continue the conversation and relationship with our sponsor. And then thirdly, we also using email platform, like how sometimes once in a month or once in a quarter, we will actually give an update to our sponsor telling them, oh, hi, this is what happened. Like, for example, the situation in Myanmar is heartbroken, if you are aware. So World Vision has many projects in Myanmar. So we continue to keep closely monitoring our program. And from time to time, we will have update. And then we actually put it into email. And then we will email to our sponsor and tell them what's happening in Myanmar, what's happened to your sponsored child, and what happened to your community. So it's through an email communication that we actually send it to our sponsor. And then fourthly, when we communicating our work, like I mentioned, World Vision is always about accountability and transparency. So we actually also send out a monthly receipt when people make donation. So in that particular receipt, we also have story to tell people. So we using all form of opportunity when the moment I reach out to a sponsor, be it receipt, be it email, be it social media, these are the platform that we will use to reach them and also giving them updates and also information about the work of World Vision. Yeah, so these are a few ways that we continue to use to engage our sponsors and donor. And of course, just now I think I also mentioned about sponsor visit. Before pandemic, where sponsor can literally go to the country to visit their sponsor child. Like myself, I visited this child before in Thailand 5 years ago. All right, as a sponsor, I've been there and I visited her. But for now, we cannot do that. But one thing about the beauty about technology, we can do a virtual visit, which is we have one upcoming one, which is next week. we are going to have this virtual visit to the country of Lebanon. I'm sure Lebanon, a lot of people might not know where is it, Middle East country, but it's a country that is full of challenges, especially they are at the border of Syria. So there's a lot of Syrian refugee there because this country is it's always a lot of conflict, especially war. So children are living in fear 365 days. But World Vision do have project there. So we cannot bring you there, but we bring the program to you now online virtually. Yeah, so that's how, when pandemic hit us, I think we need to be resilient. We need to be creative on how to continue to bring this communication out to our supporter and also our fellow sponsors and donor. Yeah, I hope I answered that question, Kaisen. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you, Miss.
thanks for the questions.
There's another question from the floor. It's from Miss Yi Hui. She asks, how do you engage effectively with other World Vision teams who are in underprivileged areas or underdeveloped regions through online platforms?
So it's all about World Vision team, right? So internally, our World Vision family, right? I just want to clarify the question because it talks about effectively with other World Vision teams. All right. Okay. So in the past, because World Vision, we are an international humanitarian organization, so we has a lot of communication platform, and World Vision has our own, so to say, a story hub or a communication platform that all World Vision are accessible. So for all the field office, especially office on the ground working with the community, like even now, uh, the biggest issue that is happening is actually Afghanistan. I'm sure all of you are aware. World Vision has been working in Afghanistan for more than 20 years. We have close to 200 staff there. Their safety is our concern as well. But for now, we won't be able to leave the country because of the issue, because children there need us. In the darkest time, in the places that people do not want to go into, World Vision will always be there. Platform that we will get update frequently. I would say is a weekly update from the platform, and of course, we also have our own communications platform, which is like email. This email will come from the regional, will come from the global as well. So this is how we get the information firsthand from the other offices. And here in World Vision Malaysia, as I mentioned, we are a support office. That means we are going to gather resources to channel to the frontliner to continue the work that we are doing. So for example, the moment we know this crisis happened in Afghanistan, our hearts are all broken. We all comes every week to pray for the issue. But beside praying, of course, I know as a Christian organization, prayer is very, very important to our work. That is a core of the foundation of the work that we do. So we come together to pray, and then very quickly, within our organization in Malaysia, World Vision Malaysia, our team involved like communications team, the resource development team, the website developer team, very quickly, within 24 hours or 48 hours, we can already put our message on our website, and we continue to we launch this fundraising campaign on our website, on our social media, and our later on, if there is a need, we will also send email to our supporter to talk about this issue, and hoping that people will support and fundraise for Afghanistan. Yeah, so very quickly, within like 24 hours, 48 hours, as long as we get the info through email, through our own World Vision platform, we are able to then turn it into localize it into our Malaysian context. For example, putting a picture, infographic, so these are all different ways of communicating. Yeah.
Thank you. We have room for one more question. It's from Miss Xiao Rong Yap. She asked, may I know how do you conduct effective communication with your partners or stakeholders when conducting events or campaigns through social media or new media?
All right, thank you, Sarah, for the questions. I think effective communications, I think I did cover this particular area. When we talk about effective communication, I think all of you are PR students. I'm sure you learned this in your course. I think one thing very important when we talk about effective is that in the communication, it has to be very clear and concise. Very clear and concise in the ask. And for us is to put it like to be very blunt or clear, it's about asking people to be part of this journey. So in all the message that we have, one thing is that you have to be very clear and concise in your ask. And then, of course, like I mentioned throughout my presentation, it's always about relating to people, especially corporates, especially I would say corporate, big corporation, when we need to get them to be on board as partner. And then, of course, through as a partner, or even to support to get the employee engagement, how the whole organization will come to join 30-hour famine or join the Run for Children. So the company needs to know what is the value also that you're going to bring to my company. For example, Run for Children, this year we actually have a lot of I would say corporate who are supporting the campaign. Even though it's a virtual run, a lot of corporate come. When we engage with them, we will tell them, is that possible for you to actually have a sharing session for us, to just come in to share with your employee what it means by saying, when we say in the campaign, it takes you and I to end violence against children. So what are some of the issue or causes that we are trying to highlight when you're joining the run? What it means when we say 42 minutes for 42 child rights. So what are some of the 42 child rights? So all this will be backed up with the statistics, with the study that we have in the work that we do. And ultimately, very important, after you have donating, where does the fund goes to? How are you going to make an impact with the funds that is raised through the Run for Children or even with 30-hour famine? So on another side is the beneficiary country or the beneficiary children, or what are the works that we are doing with them. So if you look into World Vision's social media platform, of course now it's all about social media because you cannot do face to face, cannot do physical event, right? So social media play a very, very, very important role, but how you communicate it to the public, which is also another way where I'm sure this is why we are all here learning. Like I say, storytelling is important, about relating it to people is also important, and what are the impact that an individual can actually bring. So these are some of the key things I would say, in our communication or getting partners or stakeholder to be on board. And of course, media, we're also talking about, there are many other media as well, not just social media. We also talk about maybe the more traditional media. It could be like radio, it could be newspaper, but all these platforms are now online. In a sense, when you're in the online community or platform, it actually gives you more opportunity to reach out to more people. So it's not just limiting to only Malaysian, because when you go online, like how, this year, Run for Children, we have people participating from Japan, we have a lot of people participating from Singapore or even New Zealand. Yeah, you see, so when things are online, are virtual, so there's always a plus point and also a downside when where people are being locked down because of the pandemic. But on the positive note, so these are the people that we have never been able to reach in the past, but now because it is virtual, we are able to reach them. Yeah, so I guess ultimately it goes back to the cause that you're trying to advocate. Yeah, for NGO, at least for us. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Since there are no more questions from the floor, I guess we can move on. All right. Thank you, Miss Ninian, for your answers. We definitely appreciate it.
Welcome.
So now, as a token of our appreciation, let's have Miss Ninian, Miss Lim, our advisor, and the organizing committee up for a picture. Can you guys voice up, open your mic for 2 seconds so that we can see you?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. On the count of 3, okay? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Now we'll have a large photo session with all the participants. Can I have everyone to turn on their cameras, please? A few more, please. Okay, get ready, everyone. On the count of three, we'll say World Vision, okay? 1, 2, 3. World Vision. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, so lastly, can you spare us 2 more minutes, just 2 minutes, to fill up our evaluation form? You will see a QR code on the screen right now, and you can scan it right here. And there will also be a link in the chat box, so you can fill up that from that link. Thank you so much. We appreciate your feedback for our future improvements. And with that, that is all for today. Thank you for your participation. And once again, I would like to thank Ms. Ninian for the time you spent with us today. Thank you, Ms. Lim, our advisor, for the continuous support, and the organizing committee, my team, Bridget, Janice, Lucas, Jerry, and Ziwan, for your continuous support and commitment to make this event a success. And for the last time, thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to organizing another sharing session in the future. Stay safe and goodbye.